coming to you live here from the Walmart Supercenter over here in Atlanta, a city in Cass County, northeastern Texas. We are here today with the final group that we have here of group stage number 3 of DreamHack SE2 Masters Atlanta. I'm, of course, your host, Yaku of the Zaku, and with me today is la bubergeadora de chicle, que es la mama de todos, Light _ VIP. How we doing, Light?
Oh, the bubblegum, papi. What's up, everyone? It is great to be back once again here this lovely new year, this lovely 2023. And yes, Yaku, as you were just saying, we are here with the final group that we are here to cover for DreamHack Atlanta. We've been covering a lot of the groups because a lot of groups didn't get casted in English. But we are here with the final one. I believe we're here with Group H, I want to say. It's one of the later groups in Group Stage 3. Yeah, it is. And yeah, we have quite a number of matches ahead of us.
Indeed, we do. Well, I mean, it's a standard number of matches for a group, for a StarCraft Group A. What do we call it now? A former GSL style format? I still like to call it the GSL style.
That's the thing, right? Like, Smoge, how we should just call it a GSL style format, style group, sorry, but GSL don't have these groups anymore. GSL has become a shell of its former self.
But yeah, I think most people who have been following StarCraft for a very long time do recognize what kind of format we're doing for this particular group that, you know, we've been doing for this entire group stage. 2 matches at the start. The losers face off against each other after that, and we'll see, one of them will get eliminated, the other one gets a second chance. The winner of those 2 initial matches both face off. The loser gets a second chance, the winner advances, and then at the very end, we have the decider match between the 2. I don't want to call them 2 losers, but you know, 2 players who have gotten to that point.
Yeah, it's a bit of a brutal group stage, but you know, at the end of the day, in a competitive format, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. This group is going to house 4 players, 2 Protosses and 2 Zergs, Astrea, MaNa, as well as Scarlet and Dong Rei Gu. So, oh boy, a lot of high quality players here. And again, that was the problem with Group Stage 3. I remember looking at it with everyone, yourself, with Asher, with Kuro. There weren't any groups that we didn't want to cast. Every group deserved to be casted, and unfortunately at the time there were only 4 English streams, only 4 groups could be covered. So we are doing the best we can to bring you as much StarCraft as we can.
Yeah, I think it was one of the few times we were actually grateful that we got to pick later instead of picking first, because man, that made choosing a lot easier.
It really did. It really did. I think in the end, I can't remember. We either ended up following Mia Micah, or no, we ended up following Vindicta, if I recall it correctly. So yeah, here we go. We are going to be starting things off with a PvP. That's also the other added thing. No Terrans here in this group, which is why I did save this group for Yaku and not Asher. Otherwise, he would just be smudging. Asher doesn't have an appreciation for the PvPs. He doesn't know about the high quality PvPs we can have. It's possible.
That is true. He hasn't been fear pilled yet. Wait, no, darkness pilled yet.
He hasn't. He will soon.
Or Paco Mike pilled. Paco pilled. There we go. King Cobra pilled. Like, I was going through my backlog, and for some reason, the first player to come to mind was like a Polish player from 2013 or something like that.
I mean, Fear. I don't think we casted Fear ever.
Ever.
We've never casted Fear, and you're like, yeah, he's never tasted the Fear. It's like, what? Neither have you.
It hasn't been Cobra pilled. That's more I like it.
There you go, mate. There you go. Well, speaking of, here we have an amazing Polish player, an amazing European player going up against one of the best that North America has to offer. Oh boy, quite a juicy matchup here. I know that Neeb has been the king of North America for a long time, but Astrea has really been making a name for himself this past year.
Oh, without a doubt. And we are going to watch it all unfold here in a clash of styles in this PvP, where in the bottom left-hand quarter map, spawning all the way in that bottom left-hand quarter, we have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Poland, representing Team Liquid. Everybody get your bananas ready. It is MaNa.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Inside and Out, we have the American Protoss player representing Alpha X. It is Astrea.
On the case once again here in Atlanta.
Yeah, Max Angel, he's in his hometown. The criminals, the evil, they've come to him.
Oh my god. What a hip hop.
That was
cute.
That was that was a more kiss.
That was a headbutt. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
not so much a head bop.
They were looking into each other's eyes with that headbutt, mate. It was crazy. Yeah.
Staring in their souls.
When that happened, I thought my instant had died. I was like, they paused for a little bit too long there.
Somehow,
yeah, I was a little bit concerned. But of course, so far we do have some pretty standard openers here in this PvP. I hope that this is the most standard we get though. Like, we love to see PvP, especially amongst Koreans, but typically a lot of the foreigners, specifically the Europeans, do have quite a bit of a different meta. They typically look for a bit of a more standard game, a longer game.
Yeah, the EU Protoss players have not been Paco pilled yet.
It's true. There's a couple among them. There's a couple that I appreciate. You know, I've got a very soft spot in my heart for Skillus. I love Skillus in PvPs.
Yeah, he is amazing. One of the few players who will pull off Colossus against Stalkers and have it actually work.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen it work, but it does work.
It has to, if he keeps doing it.
It's true. Copium. Oh my god, as so far we see both players being very annoying with each other. We see a couple of pylon blocks here as they did go for gate expands. They went for, you know, a greedy economic opener, but right now they're doing the best they can to delay each other. We see Astrea was really quick to divert though. He threw down his tech very quickly.
Oh yeah. That is a much earlier Stargate coming out from Astrea. Part of it, of course, is the fact that he was being pylon blocked, but I don't think you get a Stargate this early without intending to use it.
Exactly. So the other added thing is that MaNa's fully aware of that Stargate. He did have a probe in position when the Stargate was thrown down, so MaNa is fully aware that he has to be preparing for an Oracle. Just because he knows he should be prepared doesn't mean that he will be though. So there we go. Shield battery is thrown down, and the shield battery should finish up by the time the Oracle gets across the map.
Yep, that's going to be enough to prevent a single Oracle from getting much probe damage.
Yeah, exactly.
What happens when there are two Oracles, though?
Yeah, as we all know, you know, two Oracles do one-shot workers, so shield batteries aren't enough to deal with two Oracles. The other thing is that we do have stasis traps as well, so if MaNa isn't paying attention, then Astrea can get away with a bit of a cheeky stasis.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes into play, though, as Astrea follows up not with a second Oracle, but instead a Void Ray.
Oh, okay, very interesting. Void Rays are typically a very defensive unit, so looking at his vision, I don't think Astrea has necessarily seen anything that just screams aggression. Just playing this out very safely. As a result, though, he's going to be giving up the opportunity to deal harassing damage, but he cancels the Void Ray.
I hope that wasn't a misclick. Here from Astrea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a reaction. I'm pretty sure he delayed his second Oracle just to scout first, and then he confirmed, okay, I'm not getting all in. Now I can avoid the safety Void Ray.
Yeah. It does mean that, you know, nothing's coming his way, but it also does mean that the safety won't necessarily pay off for him. He will probably be able to get a lot more damage done if this Oracle was out by now.
Exactly. So he gave up aggression to be a little bit safe, and in the end, it didn't really work out for him. So it's a little bit unfortunate. He does get the second Oracle out regardless, and he does have a little bit of energy to work with. Nowhere near as much as he otherwise would have had. As a Stasis Trap is going to go off in the middle of the map. Is going to catch 2 Stalkers, but we have plenty more Stalkers back at home.
Yeah, plenty of Stalkers, a couple of shield batteries. I don't think these... okay, maybe they can take a couple of Stalker hits, and that's exactly what Astrea is planning to do. 6, 7 probes go down, which is not too bad, but he does lose an Oracle, and almost loses the other one.
Oh.
Hello, probe. Coming in right as the Oracles leave.
Yeah, very cheeky probe is going to slip on in. There's a proxy pylon on the bottom right-hand corner of the map, and I assumed that that's where the Dark Shrine would have been, but no, we have a Dark Shrine back at home, so Astrea going full NA, going full Protoss right now. But before that happens, we have a pretty strong contingent of Stalkers rushing across the map. MaNa, he is going to have Blink in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, Astrea will as well, but he does have much fewer Stalkers to work with. Again, just getting those Stargate units and getting that Dark Shrine puts him behind here. He will have the option to use a couple of defensive DTs if need be, and shield batteries, you know, still pretty good in this patch.
Yeah, shield batteries are not too bad here, and it looks like Astrea is going to be able to hold on to his natural, but what about his third base? Both players do have their thirds. Astrea's is much faster, but it's being punished right now. He's going to need another warp in.
Yeah, he does warp in across the map. I did not even realize that that pylon is a range of warping into natural base.
Oh yeah, apparently so. And here we go, the first ET rocks up. There is detection back at home, but 7 probes have already, 8 probes have gone down for 2 DTs. Not too bad here.
Yeah, 8 probes go down for 2 DTs, plus Astrea keeps that Nexus alive over in his third base location. Well worth the investment, if I do say so myself, but he still needs to survive the second wave coming out from MaNa.
That's the thing. He uses another warp in across the map. We have another DT at the third base of MaNa. This is forcing MaNa completely all in. He's behind at 20 workers, but he's got a lot of Stalkers.
Enough Stalkers, if you ask me. Observers aren't quite in position yet, but to be fair, there also aren't any DTs back home. So it's not really going to make that much of a difference. No, Astrea misses the Observer in that revelation.
I understand the logic there. He wanted to kill the detection, but the Observer was missed, which means DTs will not be enough to defend it. 21 probes just went down, by the way, so MaNa is equalizing that worker count, and the Stalker numbers are still very high here for MaNa.
He's about to do much more than just equalize the probe count, as the detection still evades that reveal. The defensive DTs are not going to work out here for Astrea. He's forced to pull the boys, and eventually it looks like he's going to clean this up, but at what cost? He is down 8, 10, about to be 11, 12 workers. No matter how good that initial harass was from him, he just has lost his entire advantage.
Yeah, we can see that on the left-hand side of the screen, 44 probes have gone down this game. And Astrea, he is struggling so much. The pylons across the map are being cleaned up as well. And the DTs would have been amazing if only Astrea had sniped that Observer. And he knew that as well. He kept trying with the revelations. That's why he kept revealing the Stalker army, because he knew that that would have been a win condition. But MaNa, he was being very careful, and he was doing a great job at keeping that Observer back.
The one time having slower Observers is a benefit.
True. Exactly. Very true indeed. And now MaNa, he can just sit back and rest on his laurels. You know, we can see a Forge on the way for upgrades. He's getting fully saturated on 3 bases. He could even expand and take a 4th if he really wanted to. He can, again, do whatever he wants. Astrea has to try and come back, and DTs weren't enough, so what's next?
Equalizers.
Yeah.
And by that I mean disruptors.
The robo's on the way. You know, I think Astrea is thinking the same way. Meanwhile, we do have vision up into the main base, but the Stasis Trap goes off.
Very well placed Stasis Trap, not caught by the Observer, despite it being in range of giving MaNa high ground vision.
This is a massive pickoff. We do see a bunch of those Stalkers going down here on the low ground. Meanwhile, at the same time, we have a couple of Adepts shading in towards the third base. Astrea is losing even more probes, but he's going to get a lot of Stalker kills.
He's going to get a lot of kills on, fairly expensive stalkers, all things considered. And look at that, he's equalized the worker count all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, you know, it took him a while to do, but he's here nonetheless. You know, we're up to 54 probes, nothing to really scoff at here. He has quite a large stalker force as well, and he still has those DTs. He's actually going to be warping in a couple of them here to harass.
Yeah, a couple of zealots as well, just to make use of his minerals. Doesn't have too much gas available to him. That one DT warped in, though, can absolutely be the game changer in an engagement.
Yeah, the DT is looking to maybe go in towards the natural. We can see it actually coming behind the army, and it looks like, oh, there is detection of the DT. No, there isn't detection. The DT survives. Oh my god.
His observer, man, it's just a little bit too slow. Helped earlier on, but now not anymore. These zealots are taking quite a bit of damage as well here for Astrea, and he's starting to push on forward, but pretty soon MaNa is going to have +1, but pretty soon Astrea is going to have Immortals.
Yeah, Immortals on the way, so he decided not to go into a bay and not to go into Disruptor production. Immortals, though, are still great nonetheless. They're a great way to make up for a bit of a Stalker deficit. Meanwhile, that one DT didn't make its way into the natural, but it is here to deny the 4th base. Does get a kill on a pylon, which is quite nice, but it looks like Astrea is more concerned with keeping the DT alive, so he is going to try to keep him alive by fending him off here on the right-hand side of the map.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way a single DT will be able to take out a Nexus, at least as long as your opponent is aware of that and is sending units to clean that up. So Astrea does the smart thing and just backs on home with his army, regroups with his Immortal, and is going to try to secure this 4th base against the counterattack that he is betting, that he's anticipating. MaNa is thinking of it as well, but yeah, still a little bit unsure of whether he wants to actually, go for it with his upgrade advantage.
Definitely, and here we can really see Astrea flex his macro as well. It isn't just the fact that he's been making non-stop probes, but he's also been using his chrono boost quite wisely as well, and as a result, Astrea wasn't able to just catch up in the workers, but just exceed MaNa as well. He's also getting fully saturated on 4 bases, his 4th that much faster as well, so Astrea, his economy is just insane, despite, like, at certain points being behind, he just catches up so quickly.
Yeah, despite losing 49 probes to the 24 of MaNa, Astrea still catching back up.
Yeah, like, for context,
advantage.
Yeah, for context, right? He's basically lost like an entire game's worth of probes and has been able to rebuild everything. Meanwhile, here we go. He's coming back across the map.
My game's worth of probes.
True. This time, though, he doesn't just have Stalkers, he does have a couple of Immortals, only 2, though, and unfortunately for Astrea, MaNa is working on the Equalizer.
Yeah, those Disruptors are on the way slowly but surely. Even without the Disruptors, the fact that MaNa has all of these shield batteries and sentries will buy him so much time before his key units get out. Astrea having a very, very difficult time trying to break that position, and so he's trying to rotate.
Oh, but he just actually killed the Observer, so maybe DTs can finally come into play.
He's researching it, like he's researching DT Blink. He knows.
He knows, Bobby. He knows about the Invisible Man. He knows how good they are. Meanwhile, we do see, MaNa being forced out of position here. Astrea's going to be able to catch a couple of these shield batteries, a couple of these cannons.
Yeah, it was a nice force field there by MaNa, able to catch at least one of those Immortals.
Look at the natural. Look at the natural, MaNa. Look at the natural. Look at the natural.
The natural is Yaku Curse. So the Disruptors are Yaku Curse.
They were Giga Yaku Curse, mate. He had to kill the shield battery there to break them free. Even here, I don't know if they can get past the Zealot. Even
the bouncer, yeah.
They want to leave, Poppy. They want to leave. Let them free.
No one can leave. But that probe just left. No.
There we go. Finally, the Observers are unleashed upon inside and out. Finally, MaNa has them available with his army, and with Disruptors, mate, anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely a huge wild card, but whether that's a positive anything can happen or a negative anything can happen, both are very, very possible.
Yeah, he could kill Astrea's army, or he can kill his own. You know, it's all possible. As a couple of Novas are going to be going off, thankfully we do have Blink, so Astrea, he doesn't take a massive Nova to the face, is able to avoid the majority of that damage, and now he's getting into his own Disruptor production. We see a second Robo finishing up for Astrea. We see double Disruptor production starting soon.
I was wondering for a while if Astrea was just going to mono battle this whole game out with Soccer, but I'm glad to see that he is starting to diversify his army quite a bit. Good snipe of one of those Disruptors, and he blinks away from the other Nova. Very nicely done here for Astrea, even getting a kill on that fifth Nexus.
Ooh, that's pretty huge, actually. That's a kill, not a cancel. Ay. So MaNa's having a bit of a hard time keeping up economically. We can see Astrea's maxed out. Astrea has his own fifth and is fully saturated as well. On top of that, we see a bit of a DT run by being set up here on the left-hand side of the map. Zealots and DTs at the same time. Astrea's pushing in.
And just trying to distract the army as much as possible. Not sure if this is the best place to fight Astrea, but with that Purification Nova, he is at least able to zone away MaNa.
Oh, yeah, they just kind of bounce off each other, zoning each other away. We see MaNa trying desperately to establish this fifth base once again, but Astrea is already in position to deny it.
Ooh, lots of kills going on here. The cancels were not quick enough, unfortunately. Another kill on that fifth base lands.
Oh my god.
And all of a sudden, I was always rooting for Astrea here, but now I think I really have to give him the advantage.
I think so as well. Meanwhile, here we go, the Blink DTs. They dive on top of the army. They're getting on top of the Stalkers and the Disruptors.
They actually blink away from the Purification Novas. I loved the idea there from MaNa, but unfortunately he wasn't counting on Shadow Stride being researched. The Disruptors, one Purification Nova will land from MaNa on top of a lot of Astrea's Disruptors actually, and all of a sudden the firepower has shifted.
Oh, it really has. Astrea, he doesn't have the Stalker count anymore. We saw them go blow for blow, resetting the Disruptor counts on both sides. But at the end of the day, MaNa still has more Stalkers. He's able to push Astrea back until the reinforcements show up.
Yeah, the DTs were great, but they were not quick enough in taking out the Disruptors of MaNa. If they were, we would have been in a very different scenario. And now, MaNa's still behind quite a bit economically, but when it comes to the army, he has a slight advantage with +3.
Yeah, he has +3 compared to only the +2 of Astrea. That was a pretty important upgrade timing, especially with that last fight. Finally, we see Astrea evening up, and he does blink on forward. He does snipe one of those Disruptors.
Yeah, very big pick off. MaNa has a Colossus?
Wait, what? He does. Oh, MaNa knows. He knows about Skillers.
Yeah. Let's go. Well, we'll see if it pays off. Nice Purification over there from MaNa. And if he gets another couple like that, I think he can absolutely start to turn the tables in this game.
Oh, he really can. Now with the Colossus here, we have that more consistent AoE damage. We do see once again Astrea losing another Disruptor. We do see Astrea trying to go for a bit of a DT run by on the left-hand side, but there's plenty here to defend. There are cannons, there are Zealots as well. Astrea just can't find any headway.
Yeah. He will nail a Purification Nova. Oh, but a couple of flanking Disruptors. Okay, they don't commit, which is probably for the best.
Oh, here we go. They're coming in. Up.
And Astrea is a little bit cornered, but just finds enough room to evade the majority of that Purification Nova.
Yeah, both Disruptors go down immediately. Very nice reaction time there from Astrea. Is able to clean all of them up once again. It does feel like overall Astrea seems to be fighting better, and he does have that economic advantage. He has every single base on his own side of the map. MaNa is really struggling. Finally, he gets his fifth up, but it's still not running. We can see it's not saturated at all. The probes are still on the way, and as they come in, so does Astrea.
Yeah, the Disruptors do cancel each other out once again, but Astrea, with his superior Stalker force, is able to clinch the victory. GG, right at the end there, you can see the bank of Astrea and the lack of bank thereof of MaNa as well. Astrea, Max Angel, is going to take game number 1.
Wow, GG, well played. Astrea looking quite solid in that game, despite a couple of scary moments, and I do think that the scariest moment was when MaNa did go for that massive counter attack and broke into the natural and broke into the main and killed 46 probes. I didn't believe that Astrea could bring it back from that position, but he somehow was able to.
Yeah, he is a protagonist.
He really is. Oh
Yeah,
my.
well, I guess it really does go to show just how well Astrea was able to macro, I suppose.
Yeah,
I do think that MaNa was definitely missing a couple of worker cycles here and there. Not each time, not by a lot, but when you add them all together, it does eventually stack up to the point where we saw Astrea, even before he went in for a second wave of harass, was still ahead something like 15 probes of MaNa.
Yeah, I think what's important is that like the DT harass and like the Blinkstalker presence of Astrea, he was never really dealing too much damage, but like he was continuing to threaten MaNa, and that like forced MaNa to stay at home, and it took MaNa a lot longer to expand and take a fourth, take a fifth, right? It took him a lot longer to, or like it almost felt as if MaNa was a little bit scared of like timing attack or something, so like he was really tentative about focusing on his economy or focusing on his base count. So yeah, maybe he was inside his own head a little bit too much.
Yeah, losing those observers, I think, were really what set him off a little bit, because you could see that beforehand, before losing his observers, it definitely felt like he was in control. He knew what he wanted to go for. After he lost his observers, he was second guessing himself a lot. He was moving out with his stalkers, but thinking, but I don't really know what Astrea has back home. I should just go back. So on and so forth, until eventually, Astrea was able to out macro him. But that was game number 1. We are now getting into game number 2 here on Cosmic Sapphire. And of course, in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in that top left-hand corner, we have our red Protoss player coming down from the land of Poland, pretty much been the standard bearer of Poland for a very, very long time, representing Team Liquid. He is MaNa.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire, in his own right, a standard bearer for Alpha X for a very long time. He is the American Protoss player. It is Astrea.
Maxwell.
Max Angel, he's back. He's on the case here, and he's for now looking better than ever, especially after that last game. I would have to think, in my mind, if I'm MaNa, I don't want to go into a later game. I don't want to end up in another split map scenario. To be fair, inside and out, it's a lot smaller. There are a lot less bases. You end up in that situation a lot more commonly. On Cosmic Sapphire, we'll see how things turn out here. I'd be shocked if we see another kind of mid to late game PvP.
Yeah, as would I. And for one reason only, like that gold base.
Oh.
It is the game changer, at least compared to inside and out. Whoever takes that and holds that long enough is the player that wins.
Not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. And I don't know if... Actually, no, I'll take it back. I can see Astrea taking it.
There we go.
Astrea can be very cheeky. You know, he has a bit of a reputation for thinking outside the box and you know, going back to his roots and going full NA, but making it work. And he is the kind of player to mix in cheeses and to mix in ninja bases from time to time. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Maxwell.
Yeah, he is up in the series. It is only a best of 3, so it's not, you know, that much of a lead, but regardless, it's still a lead.
It is, and we already see a really big disparity here. This is something that Hearthstone has been doing a lot. MaNa, despite the map, he's actually going for a 2-gate opener here on Cosmic Sapphire. Cosmic Sapphire doesn't have a ramp going into the naturals, so you could argue that it isn't safe to go for a gate expand, which is what Astrea is doing. And we'll see if Astrea gets punished. Oh, as Astrea follows up with a very fast robotics facility.
Interesting. Another safe opener, I think, coming out here from Astrea. If he doesn't know what's coming his way, he can always get immortals if need be. Maybe get an observer out earlier on as well, or seek out an observer for scouting.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree, and I do think that Astrea wants to start Immortal production ASAP because he has a unit deficit right now. You know, he's got one Stalker against 2 here of MaNa, and we can see MaNa just out-microing what little units Astrea has.
Yeah. Zealots don't have range, unfortunately, and also unfortunately here for Astrea, he is not aware of this proxy being set up outside his base. He doesn't know how aggressive MaNa wants to be. He's getting an Observer.
Yeah, very safe play here. We are going to have detection available, so in case we had, like, I don't know, a weird DT opener, I guess Astrea will have access to that. We do have an Immortal next, which I do really appreciate. Again, we need Immortals right now because Astrea just doesn't have the same production capabilities as MaNa is getting a proxy gateway.
Like so. MaNa's even getting... Oh, wait, no. Yeah. MaNa's also getting a Twilight Council, so we know that he wants to stay on Gateway Tech for a while. We'll see if this Immortal has anything to say about that, though.
Yeah, and I love what MaNa's doing, by the way. He's not reinforcing with Stalkers. He's actually reinforcing with Adepts right now. We do see Astrea forcing the Stalkers back of MaNa, but the wall is not a wall, and 2 Adepts are shading into the main.
Yeah, 1 Stalker will be warped in here. Astrea starting to fight a little bit with his Adepts. He pulls back his army as well, which just allows the Stalkers of MaNa, to get a little bit more damage. This Immortal is walking out very far forward. It doesn't have Guardian Shell. And it isn't in range of the shield battery. A massive blunder that's going to be costing Astrea a whole lot of probes, I imagine.
That was huge, actually. That was a massive mistake. Astrea, I don't think he intended for that Immortal to overextend and move past the range of the shield battery and the overcharge. And to lose an Immortal that quickly, I think MaNa, he can just win from here. Overcharge was just popped, by the way. It's not going to be available again anytime soon.
Yeah, and on top of that, this Cybercore is in a lot of trouble. If that goes down, Astrea will only be able to warp in vanilla Zealots as his only RB unit. He's trying to chrono out Immortals as quickly as possible, but okay, I think it still should be powered by the pylon back.
Yeah, it is still powered there from that backup pylon. It looks like the Immortal will come out, but so much is being depowered. We don't have the access or the availability of Stalkers anymore, so only Zealots can be warped in. Astrea is in a lot of trouble.
This is a PSA to all Protoss players out there. Leash your Immortals.
Keep them in your natural, papi. Ay, ay, ay. We do have, once again, 2 Adepts shading into the main base of Astrea. Probes are going to be falling left and right. No, the Immortal in every Oh my god.
Just able to get in range of the shield battery, and the Nexus is just able to provide another overcharge.
I think we're really seeing here that Astrea may have the stronger macro, but in these kind of really chaotic situations, I think maybe his attention span is being spread quite thin here, and Astrea's been really struggling. He does end up losing that Immortal, by the way, because it did take a couple too many shots earlier, and now he's still just at a Stalker deficit.
It's very rare, I think, to say that the EU player is more adept at chaos than the NA player, but MaNa is really proving that himself here.
He really is. We do see MaNa overextending a little bit, so he's going to lose a couple of these units. He is warping in aggressively across the map. Behind this MaNa, he has a 3rd Nexus. He's far ahead in the workers. He's got that worker production up and running as well, so even if he loses this position, he's still looking quite commanding.
Yeah. 3rd base, I mean, he's ahead in tech, slightly behind when it comes to the upgrades. He's only getting +1 ground weapons now compared to Astrea, but considering all his other advantages from production to economy, I don't think it's, I think it more than makes up for that.
Definitely. Ooh, as Astrea is looking to try and recover, he is expanding and taking a 3rd base. This is immediately spotted by MaNa. MaNa, with this Observer, is able to confirm the 3rd base timing here from Astrea. Likewise, even though we got a pretty quick +1, it took a while to start +2 here for Astrea, so he's not going to have as much of an upgrade advantage as he otherwise would have liked. It's still an advantage nonetheless, but slowly over time, MaNa is going to be looking to equalize.
Yeah, will he be able to? Well, we'll see. As I just realized, Astrea has a 4 pylon.
Yeah, Astrea, he does have a pylon across the map. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a Dark Shrine, but he can always warp in something like Adepts. Adepts are always a great unit to harass. We've seen it used against Astrea this very game. For the time being, Astrea isn't really making use of that pylon, though.
Yeah, he has to send all of his probes back home, and he does need to cut quite a few corners to catch back up with MaNa after all of that. After that whole debacle of being contained on 2 bases. He is catching up, though. He's not too far behind when it comes to the worker count, and he is saturating that 3rd.
Yeah, this is the great thing about Astrea. We saw it in game number 1. We're seeing it here in game number 2. He is kind of slowly closing that economic gap, but MaNa really quick to expand. He's already got a 4th base on the way here, but Astrea goes for the ninja. He goes for the goal.
What'd I tell ya? And MaNa, your Zealot is on the wrong base there, buddy.
Yeah, we have the Zealot checking the linear 3rd. We also have a Stalker towards the north as well. MaNa is none the wiser about this gold base. If it goes unscouted, it is a good way for Astrea to come back.
A very, very brilliant way. Like we said at the start of this game, whoever gets and holds that gold long enough will usually be the player who wins. Astrea, he's also not neglecting his upgrades this time. +3 started very, very quickly after +2 finished up. Getting a couple more gateways, and he really wants to take the fight to MaNa. But for the time being, MaNa is the one who is moving across the map and on the offensive.
Yeah, he is on the offensive. He has the Prism here. The gold base still hasn't paid for itself because there's literally no mining, because the base itself still hasn't finished. So Astrea is still in a lot of danger.
Yeah, he wants recall probes when he can, but he can't right now because, again, the Nexus just isn't finished just yet. If Astrea isn't careful, he will lead MaNa straight into that 3rd base, but yeah, thankfully that doesn't happen just yet.
No, not just yet. MaNa, he wants to try and break on in. He comes in from behind with a couple of Adepts. It looks like the Adepts are being caught out here. The main Stalker force is having a bit of a hard time pushing through. But does MaNa need it to push through? I mean, he's got a 4th base. It's getting saturated here. As far as he knows, like, he's still getting ahead.
I keep looking at these Stalkers of MaNa, and they move a little bit to the left. They're like, just a few more steps. You can catch that gold, but no, they do not.
Oh my god, but here we go. Astrea's committing into a massive fight here. He gets attacked from 2 angles, so it looked like a little bit of a more efficient fight from MaNa, but I think Astrea had the numbers. He had the brute force firepower. No, he pushed MaNa in towards the gold.
He did, but at this point, what is MaNa able to do about it, really? He only has gateway units. Astrea is diversifying his army a little bit with Immortals. I was hoping we'd see a Templar Archives from either player at this point, but yeah, apparently not quite yet.
Yeah, well, what we're lacking in Immortals we make up for in Zealots, and with this many charge lots, MaNa is pushing on through. We do have a Nova going off, but the Nova doesn't connect.
Yeah, those Zealots were way too quick. The Nexus may be here, but there certainly aren't any shield batteries or any cannons. It looks like it's going to go down. Astrea trying his best to retreat with his probes, but instead his entire army gets caught out, and he is going to lose his gold before much mining can really take place.
Yeah, as amazing as Disruptors are, Zealots can be an answer to them, especially in low enough numbers, and that's exactly what we saw here. MaNa just collapsing on Astrea's army, focusing down that Disruptor immediately as well. And now Astrea, he's back to 3 base economy. He's trying desperately to expand here towards the north, but this base has also been scouted by MaNa.
Yeah, Astrea suddenly finds himself in a lot of trouble. MaNa is setting up for a multi-prong attack, hitting at the 4th as well as the natural base. And there aren't that many defenses here for Astrea because of how the openings panned out. He had to cut corners, and he did catch up, but it's going to cost him now.
Yeah, it really is. And he has a couple of shield batteries on the way at the same time. A massive Zealot round back coming in towards the natural base. Astrea is being pulled apart. He just doesn't have the supplies to defend right now. He's being attacked from 2 fronts.
And it's almost inevitable that he'll end up losing one of them.
Oh, exactly.
Shield batteries are good, but are they good enough?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, MaNa, it looks like he has an overwhelming force here at the natural base. It looks like the Nexus itself is going to be going down. The Robo can also be depowered. It will be depowered, so the production of Astrea is compromised. At the same time, MaNa is pushing in towards that fourth base. He wants to try and break it. Astrea has been doing a good job at holding on to it, but I can't say the same about his natural and his main.
Yeah, fortunately, there just weren't enough defenses left over there. And MaNa, he's starting to flex his better economy now. He is reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing. He doesn't even care that he lost that Warp Prism. He can just remake him. He already has a second one on the way.
He already has a Prism on the way. It looks like a bunch of gateways have been depowered as well. We have a bit of a recall, so MaNa is going to be trying to save what little he can, salvage what he can from that push. And now Astrea, his worker count isn't looking too bad, but he needs to rebuild his pylons, his gateways, his robos. Everything has to be rebuilt.
And it's a pretty tough call to make when you only have effectively 2.5 mining bases.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. I mean, Astrea, he's trying desperately to take another base. But MaNa, his forces, there's just a little bit too much. There are too many stalkers. Thankfully, MaNa hasn't gone into disruptor production. That's probably like the silver lining here. It's like, oh, okay, you know, maybe Astrea, if he gets enough disruptors out, he can make a change here. But he doesn't even have any robos.
Yeah, maybe if he can get a couple of equalizers. Oh wait, but he has no way to actually get them.
He needs a little bit more time. There we go. The first disruptor is on the way, but MaNa is also pushing in exactly where the robots are situated.
Yeah, he's looking to depower them once again. I see one pylon that's mighty vulnerable. Finally, MaNa is also fighting with equal upgrades, actually better upgrades right now, as he was able to get +1 armor. So all of the advantages that Astrea once had are no longer advantages.
Exactly. It looks like Astrea is going to be able to fend off this push once again, but he loses 14 probes. He loses a Nexus. He's forced to recall back towards his fourth base as well. The disruptors are out, and that is something. And oh, the Nova's going to go off. Oh my god!
Ooh, that was a juicy connection.
Here we go.
That was actually quite a lot of stalkers being caught in that Purification Nova. MaNa still has a much better economy, though. Still a very healthy economy with 5 mining bases, all of them saturated. So I don't think 1 Nova is going to be enough this time, Light.
Yeah, we need 2. We need 3 Novas at least to connect as well as that. And I don't know if I believe in that. Oh god, we have a second disruptor on the way, but we still only have 1. The Nova goes off. Oh, it doesn't connect with anything, and now MaNa, he knows he smells blood in the water.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Light. I can't believe in angels right now, as another warp in of Zealots should just about seal the deal here for MaNa. You gotta give props to Astrea. He is fighting his heart out. He's macroing, I think, as well as he possibly could, but math just is not on his side. It's going to take something very, very drastic for him to turn this game around.
Yeah, like another Nova, but second Nova goes off. We do have a nice blink from MaNa. He avoids it. The Zealots are able to take down another base and a mineral line, and the Zealots now have free reign to go into the main base of Astrea. Meanwhile, MaNa, he dives on top of the disruptors and he picks off both of them.
He didn't even need to blink. That's how quick he killed those disruptors.
He didn't need to blink at all, but he did anyway, just to be that much safer. Oh, and now Astrea, GG gets called. MaNa ties up the series 1-1.
Oh. Showing that there's still plenty of fight left in Poland. I don't know where I was going with that one, but yeah, showing that game number 1 was, I wouldn't call it a fluke, but not representative. Not representative, I think, is what I'm trying to get at here. It was not representative of the skill level of MaNa. Game number 2, he definitely turned things around and redeemed himself a lot.
Yeah. To be fair, here in game number 2, it was Astrea making a couple too many mistakes early on, if you remember. You know, losing his first 2 Immortals very quickly. spelled disaster for him, where MaNa was able to get a very early lead and he never let go of it. You know, he was always up on bases. And the only time when he wasn't was when Astrea was trying to go for the goal base, but the goal base was found out, and as soon as it died, it's like, oh well. I mean, now Astrea, he's just stuck on 3 bases. You know, he's never gonna be able to properly saturate a 4th.
Very slowly starved out throughout the entirety of the game, really, start to finish. And in the end, MaNa's able to take us to the ace match. We're in the 3rd act of this season of Max Angel. Oh, let's see how it all ends.
Yeah, here we go, the season finale. I guess it's still the first series of the day. But regardless, we are diving on into the ace match here. Game number 3 between MaNa and Astrea.
This is how it ends.
This is where it all ends, as it's going to end on Tropical Sacrifice.
Yeah, where it all began. And we are going to be here in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in that top right-hand corner. We have, of course, our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Poland, representing Team Liquid. Everybody get your bananas out, because it is MaNa.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice, we have his opponent, the American Protoss player representing Alpha X. It is Astrea.
This time, gate expanding on a map that actually makes sense to gate expand on.
Yeah. You know, Astrea was being a little bit greedy, a little bit risky in game number 2, and he was punished for it. But here in game number 3, it all makes sense here with those gate expands. The Protosses, they know what they like.
Yeah, and it's dirty. Okay, well, not in this case, but usually it's pretty dirty.
Yes, exactly. And we've seen quite a lot from these 2 players. Like, I've seen what I want to see from Astrea. I've seen DTs and I've seen goal bases. I've seen ninja bases, you know. Like, I'm pretty satisfied. What about yourself, Yaku? Is there anything that Astrea hasn't done yet that you want to see?
The only thing I think that's missing from the checklist that I've got here would be disruptor drops.
Ooh.
Not that it's too common in PvP, but it would be a nice cherry on top. But otherwise, I agree with you, Light. This is why I love Astrea. He just gives us everything we ever hope for in a Protoss matchup.
He knows what his brand is, and he delivers. You know.
Yeah.
It's great, and he still wins games anyway.
Huh? Yeah. He should be the face of Protoss.
He should be. I mean, Max should be, but he doesn't have a face.
Exactly. Next best thing. Get out of here, Zest. Sorry, out.
It's already gone, Spappy.
It's already gone.
Calm down.
Who's coming back? Get out of here, Sats. But just kidding. Please don't.
Yeah, he's not even here yet. Stats is he's still on his way. Oh my god, you're an animal.
Get out of here, Mauer.
Oh my god, there you go. As so far, both players are just doing the best they can to delay each other's natural bases. We can see, very reminiscent from game number 1, Astrea is forced to throw down tech a little bit faster with that Stargate. MaNa gets his Nexus a little bit faster, so we'll see if Astrea is able to actually make this worth it and try and deal some damage here with his this Stargate, with his Oracle, to make up for his later expansion. Oh.
Yeah, I have to wonder if he's going to play it safe again this time. I would hope not, just because of what you mentioned. He already is behind when it comes to his economy. He should be doing something to catch back up. I mean, again, I think the last 2 games have really proven that just because you expand a little bit later doesn't mean you're going to be, doesn't mean you can't do things to make up for an economic deficit. But it's still a deficit nonetheless. Nice little bit of micro with that adept though from Astrea.
Yeah, he keeps the adept alive. He gets 2 probe kills, and he's looking to shade in again. Yo, can he get it? He gets up. Oh, just barely doesn't.
Damn this ramp.
Yeah, the lack of high ground vision, the Adept doesn't get a third probe kill, but the Oracle is going to dive on in. Ooh, Stalkers are in position, but despite that, does get one probe as this Oracle does take a little bit of hull damage.
Quite a bit. He's down to about half health, which is actually about a quarter health if you account for shields as well.
Very true, very true. It looks like Astrea wasn't playing it safe. He wasn't making a Void Ray. He immediately went into a second Oracle production, and he comes back in towards the natural base. He gets two probes, doesn't get the third in the end. At the same time, MaNa gets into the main of Astrea with 2 Adepts.
Yeah, that wall was not a wall. The probe was a little bit too idle and wasn't quick enough to throw down a body blocking building. Astrea is losing so many workers. I mean, he's pretty much lost his entire starting line.
Oh my god, exactly. That was brutal. 12 probes going down, despite the fact that MaNa went for a more economic opener, so there wasn't even that much pressure on MaNa to deal damage, and maybe that's why Astrea was a little bit lax back at home. Maybe he just didn't really think to pay any attention to his wall, and as a result, Astrea was just punished that much more.
Yeah. But now he's going to look to reciprocate. He's coming back in with his oracles. One of them a little bit low on energy, but the other one still does have plenty on it.
Yeah,
and the shields did regen.
They did regen. Thankfully, Astrea was able to keep both of his oracles alive, and he continues to keep them alive as he gets 2 more probe kills, and basically every time he dips in, he gets around 2 kills, and slowly it does add up over time. It's a great way to try and equalize, and we can see here, the worker counts are already quite similar. I mean, more resources are being wasted from Astrea because he had to rebuild, obviously, but at least he is able to equalize in some way, and now both players are expanding and taking the thirds.
Yeah. Astrea gonna try to cancel that. I don't believe he has blink yet. No, actually he does. Both our players have blink.
Well, both players do have blink, and we do see Astrea trading a little bit better here. Oh, as I say that, he loses 2 Stalkers to the 1 of MaNa, so not the best fight overall. He did get a little bit of damage on that third base, but MaNa is able to defend it.
Yeah, he should be able to mine from it very, very soon, but at the flip side, so should Astrea be able to mine from his own third. The Stalkers are going to completely miss each other.
Yeah, the 2 shifts pass in the night. We have a Stalker army here. Oh, it looks like, okay, a Zelda's going to get caught out here. Looks like MaNa is going to get vision of where the army of Astrea is, and MaNa is turning back around. He's getting a bit of a surround going. Up.
Yeah, really looking to sandwich that. Astrea is able to make it out there with most of his Stalkers, but he will lose one of his Oracles, which was, I mean, you never want to lose an Oracle at any point in the game.
Yeah, you really don't, and just like that, the stasis trap got taken out as well. We do have 1 Oracle slipping into the natural, and there's no shield battery, so oh my god, finally Astrea is dealing damage with his Oracles. A lot of probes are going down. At the same time, MaNa, he just sends it, he just blinks aggressively into the natural of Astrea.
Yeah, it's like a lot of probes are going down in both bases right now. Yeah, MaNa has defended against that Oracle in the end, but the Stalkers of MaNa are still very much in play here over in Astrea's bases. Despite losing all of these workers, though, once again, Astrea is still even.
Yeah, okay, he just knows how to make probes. He's the probe whisperer. He just knows how to get them up and out. It's insane to see. So even though MaNa has been fighting better, even though he has been dealing more economic damage, he isn't able to get the largest lead.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-worker lead is still lead nonetheless, and we do see that, because he hasn't been forced to remake his probes over and over and over again, MaNa does still have the larger army supply, and he is able to spend his resources elsewhere, getting upgrades, getting tech, but I wouldn't count Astrea out just yet.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, MaNa, his army is just larger, it's just more refined. He's going to be able to hit a +1 timing, soon even a +2 timing as well. Astrea, this is the moment where he needs to try and kind of fall back on some of his old tricks, something like DTs, something like disruptors, maybe even a ninja base. There are ways to get a bit of a lead. We'll see what Astrea goes for. I mean, of course, the other kind of, I guess, obvious way is to just out-trade and out-control your opponent.
Yeah, which is something that we have seen in the past, but it's kind of difficult to do purely on Blink Stalkers. Even the best micro players in the world, would rather have a couple of disruptors or a couple of, some other big splash damage unit to help them in that.
Yeah, I think the only player that wouldn't was maybe like Hero, but he has like the
But
best.
even then, he wouldn't mind getting a Phoenix or two
It's
just to help him
true.
out.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, mate. So we'll see what Astrea can get done. We do see Astrea just clears up all the vision that MaNa has on the map, and Astrea is completely out-positioning MaNa right now. He's going to be able to dive on top of this fourth base. He's going to get a couple of volleys off, but oh, he doesn't get a cancel on the Nexus.
Yeah, it was nice getting a couple of kills on those pylons, and I believe a couple of building shield batteries as well. But the big prize right now for Astrea is that fourth base. He cannot afford to allow MaNa to get that up in mining.
Oh, exactly. He has to try and deny this as best he can. He's doing a decent job at threatening. We just see him, just poking and prodding wherever he can. As long as he doesn't lose too many units here, it's going to be okay. It looks like he will lose one Stalker for his troubles, but Astrea has been able to take his own fourth and once again just take a worker lead. How does he do it? How?
He just holds down that E key. Or actually, I don't know what R keys he uses, but he just holds on that probe key.
Yeah, he just holds it down and he doesn't stop. And is he going to get punished for it? Maybe. MaNa still has a larger army. He still has more Blink Stalkers. He is going to have a bit of a +2 upgrade timing in a couple of moments.
But I tell you what, he's not going to have DTs.
Oh, here we go. Dark Shrine is thrown down here for Astrea. And this is what we were talking about. A way to be able to just catch his opponent off guard and out of position.
Okay, not quite like this. Yeah, MaNa is pouncing on the Stalkers of Astrea. He knows he has a lead when it comes to the supply. He very briefly had an upgrade lead as well. Astrea has caught back up in that regard, but the damage has already been done. And it's already continuing to get done.
Yeah, at the same time, we have a little bit of a Stalker run by here at the triangular third base of MaNa. 2 probes are going to be going down. Nothing to really write home about, but at least MaNa is being distracted. It's giving Astrea a little bit more time. He's trying to sneak out of 5th base towards the south, but nah, we have to cancel. Ooh.
Yeah, he's going to lose these pylons as well, which definitely always hurts.
It really does, and Astrea is just doubling down. He doesn't just have the Dark Shrine. Immediately, as soon as it's done, he starts Blink for his DTs.
I like it. He doesn't warp into DTs immediately, He waits until they're at their final form before he sends them out.
Exactly. He's waiting to go Super Saiyan first and then go in. He doesn't want to waste his time with his base form. And as a result, it's going to take a couple episodes to really, power up. That's just...
Yeah.
It's going to take a little bit longer to really pull the trigger. So we'll see if Astrea can survive that long, because MaNa's been doing a great job of just containing Astrea to these 4 bases.
Yeah, well, he is starting to yell.
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm not gonna yell. It's not. Look, we just started the cast, okay? Oh my god. His hands are up. He's gathering that energy for the Genki Dama, Papi. And here we go. MaNa is pushing on forward again. Just a bit of a better concave on the bottom of this ramp. MaNa has been able to establish his own 5th base for quite some time. Is able to happily mine from it. But Astrea, here we go. The DTs are warped in towards the north. We do have quite a kitchen sink of a run by.
Yeah, I think I like it. If these zealots and stalkers are able to deal with detection quickly enough, then I can definitely see these DTs just killing every single probe, and maybe even killing the base. MaNa is forced to turn around with his reinforcements, and that allows Astrea to try to take this fight in the south, but a lot of his units were at the back. Finally, he blinks on forward, and he is able to get a little bit of a victory in this engagement.
Yeah, he actually shaves us a lot of those stalkers towards the south. At the same time, towards the north, 10 probes just went down. Astrea, he has a little bit of momentum going his way, but breaking these bases is a bit of a different kind of ask here. With the static defense, with the shield batteries, with the cannons, it's that much more hard. It's that much more difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot much more harder, if you ask me. As, yeah, at the very least for Astrea, you know, he is able to break out of a contain. He's double expanding, as a matter of fact, to try to once again get a little bit of an economic lead on MaNa.
Yeah, he's out positioning MaNa. You can see MaNa's main army is towards the south. He's on the other side of the map, and Astrea, he dives on top of the Nexus.
That's what happens, man, when your observers are busy chasing down DTs. MaNa loses another entire mineral line, this time to the main army of Stalkers coming out from Astrea. And Astrea doesn't commit to a fight. He backs away, he knows the damage has been dealt. He just needs to defend against a counterattack, which will actually be pretty tough. MaNa has an upgrade lead and a lot, and I do mean a lot, of Zealots and Stalkers.
He really does. A very large army here moving towards the southern portion of the map. Astrea is trying to keep up, but once again, now it is Astrea's turn to be caught out of position. This southern nexus is going to be going down. Thankfully for Astrea, he did double expand, so he can afford to lose one of these bases.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fake out nexus, really. He wasn't saturating it, right?
Yeah. At the same time, we do have a bit of a DT run by here towards the right-hand side of the map. A lot of Stalkers are being caught out by the DTs, by the way. They do have Blink as well. They can move away. At the same time, in comes Astrea with his own Disruptor now army. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Pretty much immediately, yeah, get sniped just like so. Oh, did you hear that, or did I?
No, I heard that as well.
Too much?
Yeah, it was like Zeratul or something speaking to us. I don't know why. It was,
it's a reminder coming out here, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit odd, but regardless, we do see once. How does this keep happening?
It was cinematic.
MaNa, he gets distracted by the run by towards the north. His army is just on the opposite side of the map here, as Astrea is going to be able to get another base.
Yeah, but it looks like so will MaNa. We will be losing a couple of units to that compared to Astrea. Not losing as many when he assaults the bases, and now we're starting to get into a bit of a base trade.
Yeah, here we go. We're in full base trade mode right now. Both players are going to be losing base after base. Novas are going off, and it looks like the Nova does connect.
Ooh. One of them didn't connect, but the other one did. Very, very unfortunate here from MaNa. I mean, we can look at the army supply. He initially had a slight lead. I think he was up about 15 army supplies, something like that. Now he has just about half the army supply of Astrea.
Hey, sometimes one is all it takes, and that was the one that Astrea needed to just win this game. MaNa still has a standing army, don't get us wrong, but the disruptor count, it's slowly getting higher and higher, and Astrea still has more defensive disruptors.
Yeah, slowly but surely pumping them out. He's at the top of this ramp as well. Very important blink there for MaNa to be able to take out the Disruptor before Nova lands. But, well, this is all said and done. He's losing everything back home.
Oh, he is losing his entire main base. The production from MaNa is gone at this point. Astrea can still warp in back at home, though. He still has a little bit of free supply. There we go. A wave of Stalkers just got warped in. We still have more Disruptors on the way as well. So, Astrea, his army just gets larger and larger as time goes on.
And a really good snipe there from MaNa, but he used up his blink to get on top of that initial disruptor, and that means that the other Novas will land. GG is called. Astrea will win the base trade, the map, and the series, and the world. Very nicely done here. I barely had time to get the GG button ready. What a fitting season finale here, or mid-season finale here for the Max Angel saga. Astrea is going to be very content moving forward to the winners match, not having to worry about, you know, being eliminated.
Yeah, GG, very well played there. Max Angel takes the series. It was quite close though. Like once the base trade started, I would have to go back and double check the supplies. But as you were saying, I think MaNa had a bit of a lead. Taking that disruptor shot to the face though was kind of the beginning of the road here, the beginning of Astrea's victory. Things were looking quite dicey before that, but yeah, those disruptors came in clutch for it.
Yeah. It wasn't looking great for MaNa before that disruptor, but it wasn't looking great for Astrea either. Once that Nova landed, man, there was just too much momentum on the side of Astrea. There was nothing holding him back at that point, and with that, he is able to advance to the winners matchup in this group.
Yes. For those back at home, do not fret because MaNa is not eliminated. He is knocked down to the lower bracket to the elimination match. So he still has another chance here to redeem himself. Just going to be that much of a more difficult road for MaNa.
I mean, it's kind of the lower bracket if you think about it. You know, if we think of I mean, groups. I'm used to seeing them the way as like actual groups, but I know it's possible to graph them out as an actual bracket.
Yeah,
kind of like them though.
We have the technology, and speaking of, we are going to be getting ready here for our next series. But before our next series, I don't know if you heard. I was kind of losing my voice a little bit. I don't know what happened. I was getting just attacked by a little bit of a cough. So we're going to be going on a bit of a short break.
Starduck.
It's shaking my head, Starduck. Shaking my head. I'm going to be going on a bit of a short break. When we return, we will be continuing our series, and we are going to be casting a ZVZ.
Oh yeah, that's a matchup where you really need your voice, especially this particular ZVZ with two very aggressive players. Scarlet and DRG are going to be with us when we return. In the meantime, get some lozenges.
Do not go anywhere. We will be back shortly with some more StarCraft.
Yeah, we'll see you then.